It's no surprise that this week's Rack of the Week features Dimitri Jungo, the 2022 American Straight Pool champion. Dimitri is a very aggressive player, and I commentated a couple of his earlier matches where we discussed that. He went for some very aggressive choices, and rightly so, because he is a heck of a shot maker. We're going to see that in this rack. We're also going to see something that I haven't done, and that's a bunch of safety play. So Dimitri and his opponent, Victor Zalinski, had a multi-inning safety battle before this rack. Let's get into the rack. This safety battle begins when Dimitri Jungo misplays his position on this break shot. I'll go ahead and hit play. So he's studied this for a little while, but what he's doing is thinning the 4-ball and putting the cue ball in the bottom of the stack. Now that's a pretty good shot. You generally have a couple of choices with safety battles. Most of it happens below the rack, and you either want to get your cue ball tight to the bottom of the stack or tight to the bottom rail, depending on the condition of the rest of the balls. Now, this is interesting in that Zalinski immediately decides, yeah, he just went to the bottom rail, like I just said. You want to try and get it frozen. The reason why he can get away with that is Jungo would have liked this 6-ball or one of the balls on that side of the rack to come out farther when he played his safety, because that would prevent Zalinski from using at least part of the rail. He wouldn't be able to leave the ball. If the 6-ball came out where I drew my yellow circle, then he would have to keep the cue ball on the rail over here if he chose to put the cue ball on the bottom rail. So both of them are playing this strategic cat and mouse game where they're trying to get a ball open to cause trouble for their opponent. The irony of that is if your opponent finds a way to play safe, then that open ball causes trouble for you. So Jungo's safety was not very effective. Obviously, it left Zalinski a very easy return safety now, and Zalinski has placed a ball here, which is very dangerous because it's kind of equal distance from both rails. So he's cutting off this part of the table and this part of the table, most of the table. Jungo can't leave the cue ball in those areas, or Zalinski will have a shot on this 8-ball. So that's a very effective strategy. That's a simple example of getting a ball open to cut off areas of the table for your opponent. There's almost always a way to get out of it if it's executed well. And so, as I just mentioned, here's the area of the table that Zalinski is able to put the cue ball without leaving a shot. And he'd rather not leave a combination, so he might even be restricted to this area of the table. And that's what he's aiming for. He can thin a ball and just leave it over there. I guess the camera kind of advanced ahead. So now the trap that Zalinski put Jungo in, he's in the same trap because now he can't leave the cue ball there. And I think he finds a way to play safe. Yeah. So he's going to hit this 4-ball, thin the 4, and bring the cue ball back across table. The danger of that is that these balls are frozen and possibly the 9-ball leaks out. Then there's a shot on the 9-ball into the corner pocket. So before you play this type of safety, you've got to go look at these balls and see if there's any gaps. If there's any gaps, then the energy transfer will be much less, and it's far less likely that a ball on the other side of the rack will come out. If the line of balls is frozen from the ball that you're hitting, then you can be guaranteed that a ball on the other side of that line will leak out. So Zalinski, possibly these balls are frozen, and that's why he doesn't want to skim off the 4. This is a dangerous shot. He tried to play the cue ball right to the bottom rail to leave an impossible back cut. Even if the cue ball landed on the rail, though, that ball's cuttable. And Jungo is a very aggressive player. He is looking at sending the cue ball 3 rails to open up the stack. And I'm almost surprised. I was watching this match from the stands, and I was actually surprised he didn't go for it. I think that's a pretty safe shot. You have a chance of scratching. You have a chance of missing the rack, but you're going to be able to play another safety. So you're using that open ball to try and accomplish something. He's looking at that route. He's also looking at banking the 8-ball like this and then sending the cue ball to here. That's an effective safety as well. So I'm a little bit surprised that he does not choose the aggressive route because he's shown a tendency towards aggressiveness many times. My phone dinged there. Sorry about that. But he fooled me. He went for an option that I think he called a safety. Yeah. So rather than trying to bank the 8-ball over here, he called a safety. The 8-ball spots up. That way it's much easier to control the cue ball. So good choice. Now, and before he did that, he went up above the rack and looked to see if the 7-ball can be cut. There's also a danger that your opponent's going to go for the carom from the 6-ball rather, the 6 off the 7 into the corner pocket. Your opponent didn't get to this point in the tournament by not being aggressive at the right times. And Zalinski is one heck of a shot maker. I think he chooses, I don't remember what he chooses. What I would probably consider in this instance would be taking an intentional foul, either legging the cue ball right here or to the back of the rack. Now he's choosing a dangerous shot. Yeah, he's choosing to thin the 4. Wow, what a thin hit that was. That's really difficult to do. That's a very dangerous shot because there's probably some gaps in the balls. You notice they only wiggled, but it's very easy for a ball on the other side of the pack to leak out, and if you hit it too thick, and then the cue ball stops here and you sell out a shot. So that was an amazing shot. Jungo is showing his ability to hit the ball thin also, but I think that was an ill-advised shot because obviously if the cue ball came back right here, it might have turned out better, but as it is, once again, Jungo has left a ball by the side of the rack that Zalinski can very easily, if you'll get out of the way, very easily play a safety off that 12 ball. So I guess it was kind of a containing shot, but you know that you're going to come to the table with the cue ball buried. What would have been a better option for Zalinski at that point? I'm not sure. Let's see if I can go back there and take a look. So what would you do from this spot? You know, there's a possibility that there's a carom again on that 6-ball from here. He can probably hit the edge of the 6, and it might go in. Extremely risky shot that I don't advise. Your chances of selling out are much higher than a successful shot and continuing the run. You could also try and thin this 3-ball and simply let the cue ball drift down to the bottom rail and not try and bring it back up into the stack. That's probably what I would have tried. I think it's unlikely that the cue ball is going to come over here and sell out a shot on the 6. But even if it does, that's kind of a shot to nowhere. There's nothing following. So another option would be an intentional foul. Simply kick the cue ball softly right up to here. So again, that's a containing safety. You're taking a risk because you're on the first foul. Your opponent will have the option of playing a second foul behind you because you'll end up on 2 fouls first and you'll need to hit a rail. But perhaps the goal, if you take this option, the goal is to get a shot either on your next shot or when you're on 2 to be able to thin a ball again to the bottom rail or to the back of the stack, or possibly thin a ball and get the cue ball all the way up table. So that's what you're trying to achieve with that type of safety. Let's go back to the game. So Zalinski's going to play an obvious safety, which is to stick the cue ball in the stack. But you have to think, where is the 12 ball going? Now, in my opinion, Zalinski was trying to lay the 12 ball up here. So that's similar to what he did with the 8 ball here. You want to make it available to this pocket from down low. That causes trouble for your opponent. As it is, the 12 ball went to the rail, and it doesn't cause a whole lot of trouble at all, and doesn't factor in too much into the safety play that happens from this point on. He does accomplish something good, and that is Jungo actually can't skim the rack on this side and send the cue ball here because he will sell out a shot on the 12 ball. So he's got to go this way. He's got to skim the 8 and go this way. Now, look at him. He's pointing very deliberately to the center of the bottom rail. That's going to leave Zalinski an option to play the 3 ball past the pack and stick him in here again. I would think you would want to favor, now he's looking, favor this side of the bottom rail. So it's possible you can thin the 8 or maybe even the 13, but probably the 8, but you don't want to sell out a shot. So he's choosing to take an intentional foul. I think that's a very good choice as it is. He did leave a shot, even a better shot, I think, on the 3. So Zalinski can elevate and knock the 3-ball loose now. Once again, you want to try and do the same thing. You want to leave that 3-ball in front of this pocket if you can. Realizing that, again, that could backfire and your opponent could maybe knock the 8-ball loose, and then you're in the spot that you tried to put your opponent in. But notice he's taking his time. He's looking at it carefully. Each player is trying to gain an advantage somehow from this exchange. This is the chess-like aspect of straight pool, is when you get into these safety battles with the cue ball below the rack. I'm going to see if I can advance a little bit to his shot. I know he studies this for a while. Oh, no, there he goes. So as expected, 3-ball out. Now I think this, yeah, he's a little bit upset at himself. Do you see him kind of shake his head? Because he wanted the 3-ball out in front of the pocket and didn't get there. But he did accomplish an excellent cue ball in that he didn't leave any kind of a safety where Jungo could shoot the 8-ball somewhere. But Jungo is in the same position. He's looking at where he wants the cue ball below the bottom of the rack. Pretty obvious shot. He can hardly do much more than this. Now some players might have wanted to send the cue ball to the bottom rail and then back up under the 8. I don't like that, because if you did that, Zalinski's kind of in the way. We'll give him a chance to get out of there. But if you did that, if you put the cue ball right up against the 8-ball, then your opponent can skim that ball either to one side or the other and go back down below the rack. So I really like what Jungo did here. It's best if you can get that cue ball. I know he's in the way. It's best if you can get that cue ball frozen to the bottom rail, which he didn't do. But you can see that's an excellent shot. And the reason we know is because Zalinski's only choice was to take an intentional foul and just roll up on the bottom of the stack. So good choice by Jungo, I think. And now you can notice the cue ball is just a little bit to one side. And, oh, this is interesting. Since Zalinski took the first foul now, Jungo is going to go ahead and take his first foul. He has the opportunity to skim the 8. He has the opportunity to skim the 8 and come back here. There's a principle in safety play. If you put your opponent somewhere where they choose to take an intentional foul, on your next shot, put them back there. If they didn't like it, put them back there again. And that's what he did. So he chose to take his first foul behind Zalinski's first foul for that reason, rather than skimming the 8. You know, if you skim the 8, you might not hit it well. You might leave the cue ball to this side or this side of the rack and give Zalinski more options. So another great play by Jungo. So now Zalinski's trying to decide what to do again. If they simply repeat the same shots, then Zalinski is going to be on 2 fouls. And he will be in the same position. I'm looking at it, and I don't see how he has a choice but to do the same thing. So I'm going to skip ahead. I know he thinks about this for a little while. Oh, not too long. So Zalinski sees something that's kind of clever here. He's going to do the same thing. He's going to roll up on the stack, but he knocks a ball loose. So instead of sticking the cue ball right to the back of the 8, he's got another ball loose, and rather than an up-table ball, it's in this area. So that's pretty clever. He's giving himself an opportunity. First of all, he's limiting Jungo's choices, not by a whole lot, but a little bit. But he's giving himself an opportunity to get out of the next safety, because in all likelihood, Jungo is simply going to roll the cue ball back here, and then both opponents will be on 2 fouls. They each need to get a rail on the next shot, or risk losing, or they'll lose 15 points. So for the second time, put him back where he didn't like it. This is kind of difficult. He's kind of cross-handed with the bridge. So he would love to have gotten the cue ball frozen, and he didn't, because he was kind of had a hampered bridging with that bridge there. Now Zalinski's going to take a safety. He's on a second foul, so he needs to get a rail on this shot or he'll lose 15 points. I need to mention the announcers of the match here make a very good point, and that's that the best option for Zalinski at this point of the match is probably to go ahead and take the third foul, lose the 15 points. The score is very close. It's about 56 to 55. And Jungo would then have the choice of accepting the balls as they lie or having them re-racked and having Zalinski shoot the opening break shot again. That's a good option for Zalinski. And it's also a good option for Jungo. So we're a little bit surprised that's not what he chooses. So I think he was looking at, one option he was looking at is striking the 2 to make the 4 ball go to a rail. That's going to be really hard because there's lots of gaps between these balls. You're going to have to hit it really hard. It's going to be hard to control the rest of the rack. I don't remember what he shot. Let's go ahead and see. He obviously doesn't choose that. So he's going to try and stick the cue ball on the 8, and that's a disaster. I'm not sure what he saw. I think he saw the 8 ball carrying to the left, but I think he anticipated that the rest of the rack wouldn't open much, and the cue ball would simply stun forward and freeze on the back. So now Jungo is wide open. So there's 15 balls on the table. I say wide open. He's got a challenge in front of him. He does have one open shot, and that's this ball in the side pocket. But if we do a little bit of rack analysis while he's studying it, what does he have? The first thing you look for is break balls. This is a possible break ball, but he's going to have to shoot it. The 14 and then the 6 or the 7 and the 10 is a possible break ball. So is the 8. So there's no key balls yet. He has a semi-clustered rack, a little bit of work to do. But the question is, when do you go get these up table balls? So he's obviously chosen not to go get them yet. And I agree with that because after that safety battle, close score, you want an opportunity on the table. You want to stay there. And so you don't want to do anything fancy with the cue ball. So his next shot was obviously going to be this ball in the corner. So he's simply staying alive, I call it. Don't do anything crazy or risky. Just stay alive. Keep the cue ball in the open. And that's what he did. He just cinched that ball. Now he has opportunities to do something else. It looks to me like the best opportunity is simply to go around the 8 ball because center table is what you want. Who knows where the cue ball is exactly going to stop, but you're going to have a shot on the 4, the 18, the 6, the 10, the 8. You have lots of options. So just come to center table and then make a plan. Now, you notice he's taken a lot of time to do this, and that's really smart because what you don't want to do is come 2 rails, hit the 8 ball, knock it up here, and now you don't have a shot. He really worked that hard to make sure that he was going to come cleanly around the 8 ball because it's that important. And now he has lots of options. What I'm seeing is that these 2 balls, the 9 and the 2, go in this corner after the 14 is gone. But how are you going to get at that? He could shoot the 6 ball right now. Oh, he's already made his choice. He could shoot the 6 ball right now, which would not run into the 5, it looks like, and then open these balls up. If the cue ball can stop here, you'll possibly have a shot on the 10, but certainly a shot on the 15 in the side. That might be what I would choose, but the 6 ball is more difficult than the 8 or the 10. So once again, there's this idea of shooting the 99% shot rather than 95. So was he trying to get an angle on on the 6 ball shot that I just mentioned? I don't think so because if he was trying to do that, the cue ball would be up here. It's much easier to get the correct angle up there. So now he has a shot on the 15 in the side, and I think to go into these balls off the 15. He could also shoot the 10 and do something else if he doesn't like the exact angle he has on that 15. Now, you notice what he's doing. Many players would have shot by now. This is a crucial part of this rack. You've got to get it right. And he really evaluated his options. So he's shooting the 15. Yeah, to go into those balls. Now, that was a little bit unfortunate because the 2 ball came up and blocked the 14. I can almost guarantee you if that didn't happen, he would shoot the 14 and possibly play position for the 1-9 or something. But he's finding a way to get these balls open or get shots on them without risk because he had this insurance ball. He knew that he's going to have this ball no matter what. So now do you go up table or do you play for the 2? Okay, you play for the 2 or the 6. I'm not sure if the 6 goes by the 7, but obviously he's keeping his options open. He can shoot the 2 or the 10. This is a cluster. It's a big problem. Sometimes clusters like that aren't a huge problem because if the 1 ball was over here farther, you'd have access to the 1. Then once the 1 is gone, then the 9 goes over here, and then once the 9 is gone, the 5 goes over here. You can kind of pick your way through them. In this case, each of these balls kind of blocks each other, unless if you play for a 5-7 combination or a 1-9 combination, you're going to have to run into these balls somehow in order to get them open. And I watched this rack a half hour ago, but I don't exactly remember. I think he's going to come back center table. Yeah. He's coming back center table. And what happened is what I mentioned earlier. He didn't get the angle right and ran into the ball that he wanted to go around. I guarantee you he wanted to go around that ball, end up center table, and have an option to either use the 10 or the 14 to open up this cluster. So now what do? What you don't do is panic. You don't need to get in a hurry to get those balls open. You know you're a good player. You know you're going to get there. So he has two options right now. He's looking at his angle. He wants an angle on this 14 to run into the 1. It's questionable what shot you're going to have. You might have to do it with some force and send the cue ball forward to hope that a ball comes open over here. I don't know if there's not much of an insurance ball because those earlier shots didn't work out. The other alternative he has is to go up table and get these two balls. This might be the time to go get those up table balls. And I remember that is what he does now. And I would do the same thing. And part of the reason why is you got to think about this. What if he had played that ball on the side, gotten an angle on the 14, and opened these balls up? Well, look, there's 5 balls down table, and one of them is going to be your break ball. So only 4 shots would be remaining down table on the lower half of the table, and 2 balls up table. Half of your balls that you need to shoot are up table. So now you'd be faced with a decision of, do I shoot 1 or 2 of the lower balls, go get the up table balls, and then come back down and try and make an end pattern with the remaining 2 balls? Or do you shoot all 4 of the balls down table, go up table and use one of these up table balls as your key ball for your break shot? So I think this is wise for that reason. You go get these balls now because you're either going to open this cluster or not. And if you do, you're going to be able to continue your run. So get these 2 up table balls. Then after the cluster's open, if you're successful, all of your work to get on your end pattern will be down table. So this is a very wise play, I believe. So obviously he's going to shoot the 12, and he wants to preserve. Look where he's putting his cue tip. He wants to stay inside the 3 because then his cue ball goes this way. And I guarantee you he's considering one rail off that 3 ball right into those balls. And that's a very risky play. There's you could hit the 6-7 and scratch. You could hit the 6-5 and scratch in the side. Very risky play. The alternative is very easy to do this, and I think that's the correct shot. 1 rail position to center table. Get the angle on the 14 where your cue ball is close to it, and it's a 99% shot for you, and just trust that you're going to get these balls open and get a shot. Jungo is a very aggressive player, and this is an example of that. Now, if he had hit the 6 or 7, knocked the ball down here, the cue ball wouldn't have been here, and he would have had a shot in this pocket. We would all be applauding it. What a hero! What a great shot! And believe me, he pulled off a lot of good shots like that. He is a very aggressive player, but in this instance, I think this example illustrates why that was not a wise shot. Because now he's got to shoot the 14 ball from at least twice as far away. He could have put the cue ball right here off the 3. But there's a reason why he's in the finals. He's a shot maker along with all these other guys. He's not going to miss that ball. So he made the combination, didn't open the cluster, made the combination, but came out with a shot. Now, what do you do from this point? You've gotten a shot. You played an aggressive shot and then played a recovery shot. What do you do? So there's a couple of options. Some players are going to look at cutting this 1 ball and sending the cue ball right into those again to just get them open. And I think that's the least desirable play because you already have balls that are in break ball position. The 6 or the 7 could be a break ball. And this cluster is, what would we call it? Pick-apartable. In other words, here's the shot line to the 6, in the corner pocket. So if you land on that line or a little below it, you can cut the 6 and your cue ball goes this way. Here's the shot line to the 5. Same thing. Straight in or below the shot line to the 5, and you can draw your cue ball up here. Boom. You're on your break shot for the 7 ball. Does that make sense? Pick apartable. And so for that reason, I would want to ease this 1 ball in and bring the cue ball up here and I want to land short of the shot line to the 6. And if you're a little too thin, if the table's really fast, then you play your cue ball to the head rail and back down. Worst case scenario is you end up with the wrong angle on the 6. Then you shoot the 6, nudge the 5 ball loose, and draw the cue ball over here. Hopefully you'll have a shot on the 5 there without disturbing your break shot. But it's a pretty high percentage play to land short of that shot line for the 6 ball. I've advanced the video, so here he goes. Or does he try to run into them? And notice how he's got to stretch out. Whenever you're stretched out, you don't want to play a full stroke shot. You can play a finesse shot when you're stretched out, but yeah, so he ran into the balls. Amazing. Look at what he has. I mean, he's got 2 break balls. 7 ball's a better one. But do you want to shoot this ball as your K2 ball to get on the break shot? This is another tough shot. And I've commentated a couple of Jungo's matches. He put himself in tough positions like this many times when, I kind of felt that he didn't have to. Once again, you're going to see the shot maker come out. I would want to cinch the 5 ball. Now, it's difficult because the side pocket's in the way, but I would want to cinch the 5 ball with left English, cue ball to this rail, and try and bring it back out straight out here for the 6 ball as the key ball. Watch this shot. Obviously, he doesn't shoot my choice. He's using a high ball, kind of a stun follow. So I'm going to guess that Jungo plays a lot of 9 ball because that's a 9 ball shot, and he executed it wonderfully. Now, probably he wanted the cue ball to stop over here. Then he could shoot the 7 and come up here for the 6 ball break shot. I think he's very fortunate. He's just to this is the shot line to the 6. He's just a little bit to the right, so he can follow to the side rail and out for the break shot. Please understand, I'm not criticizing Dimitri Jungo. I am a little bit. He shot a lot of racks that were more textbook straight pool. But that was some aggressive play along with some top-notch shot making. So no surprise that he ended up the victor. Let's watch his break shot. This is a difficult break shot because he's very far from the rack. The 6 ball is above the second diamond, so 6 ball's above the rack. The cue ball is above the side pocket, and he has a shallow angle. He's a little bit, yeah, the parallel line's here, so he's outside of that line, so a very shallow angle. I would think you just want to do a stun into the top of the rack, cue ball to the side rail, and maybe out a little bit. Yeah, it looks like a stun into the top of the rack. Just like that. Oh, and the cue ball went forward. So it's kind of a stun forward shot. Man, look at the results. That is an excellent result from a very difficult break shot. And obviously this run is going to continue. I hope you enjoyed that. I'm sure I'll feature some more matches from this finals. I'm also going to feature a rack from the women's final. And I'm sure I'll feature other players from this tournament, including myself, in future Racks of the Week. Thanks for watching. See you next week.